On the afternoon of October 24th, 1961, a quiet suburban neighborhood in Lincoln, Massachusetts became the center of one of America's most enduring mysteries. What began as an ordinary autumn day ended with a woman vanishing without a trace. There was no ransom demand, no confirmed suspect, no body, only a trail of blood, a house frozen in the middle of daily life, and a mystery that has remained unsolved for more than 6 decades. This is the story of Joan Risch. At first glance, Joan Risch seemed to embody the ideal American life of the early 1960s. She was 31 years old, intelligent, educated, and devoted to her family. Joan lived with her husband, Martin Risch, and their 2 young children in the affluent town of Lincoln, about 20 miles west of Boston. Friends and neighbors described her as reserved but pleasant. She spent much of her time caring for her children and maintaining the household. Yet there were details about Joan's life that hinted at a more complicated story beneath the surface. When Joan was just 9 years old, her parents died in a tragic house fire. She survived, but the trauma would remain with her for the rest of her life. Afterward, she was raised by relatives and eventually excelled academically, attending college and building a stable life for herself. By 1961, she appeared settled and content, but appearances can be deceptive. The morning of October 24th began normally. Martin Risch left for work in New York City, as he often did. Their daughter was at school and their 2-year-old son remained at home with Joan. Throughout the morning, neighbors noticed nothing unusual. At around 10:30, Joan visited the local library. Records showed she checked out several books. Some accounts later noted that a number of these books involved crime investigations, disappearances, and mysteries. This detail would become significant years later, though at the time it seemed completely ordinary. After returning home, Joan settled back into her routine. Then something happened. Exactly what occurred inside the Risch home remains unknown. Shortly after 2 o'clock that afternoon, a neighbor noticed something strange. The front door of the Risch house was partially open. This was unusual, but not necessarily alarming. A little later, another neighbor saw Joan's young son wandering outside alone. Concerned, she approached the child and brought him back toward the house. When she entered, she immediately sensed something was wrong. The kitchen appeared disturbed. There were signs of blood. More blood was visible elsewhere in the home. As neighbors began looking more carefully, the situation became increasingly disturbing. Blood droplets were found throughout the kitchen area. A telephone directory lay open on the floor. A chair appeared out of place. A blood-smeared thumbprint was later discovered. Most unsettling of all, there was no sign of Joan. Police were called immediately. When investigators arrived, they encountered a scene unlike anything they expected. Blood had been found in multiple locations throughout the kitchen. Some stains appeared to have been wiped away. Others suggested movement through the room. Investigators also discovered blood spatter patterns that seemed inconsistent with a simple household accident. Yet, despite the amount of blood present, there was no body, no clear indication of what had happened, no obvious weapon. The mystery deepened almost immediately. Witnesses soon came forward with potentially significant observations. One woman reported seeing a disheveled woman walking along a nearby road shortly after the estimated time of Joan's disappearance. The woman appeared unsteady and may have been bleeding. Another witness claimed to have seen a similar figure near a construction area. Neither witness knew Joan personally, and neither identification could ever be confirmed with certainty. Still, investigators considered the possibility that Joan had somehow left the house after sustaining an injury. But if that were true, where had she gone? And why had she never been found? As forensic investigators analyzed the blood evidence, opinions differed. Some believed the blood loss appeared substantial enough to indicate a serious injury. Others argued that the actual quantity of blood was difficult to estimate accurately from the scene. The science of bloodstain analysis was far less advanced in 1961 than it is today. This uncertainty left investigators with multiple competing theories. One possibility was that Joan had suffered an accident, perhaps while performing household tasks. She may have injured herself severely and become disoriented. But this explanation struggled to account for the unusual blood patterns and her complete disappearance. Another theory was foul play. Perhaps someone had entered the home, perhaps Joan had been attacked. If so, investigators faced another problem. There were few signs of a violent struggle, nothing appeared significantly stolen, no clear suspect emerged. The case became even more complicated when attention turned toward Joan herself. As detectives examined her background, they uncovered details that fueled speculation. Joan was known to be an avid reader. Some of the books she had recently borrowed dealt with disappearances and crime cases. To some investigators, this raised an intriguing possibility. Could Joan have planned her own disappearance? Had she intentionally staged the scene? Supporters of this theory pointed to several unusual aspects of the case. There was no confirmed evidence of a kidnapping. No body was ever recovered. No verified witness reported seeing an abductor. And despite extensive searches, no trace of Joan surfaced. If she had voluntarily vanished, however, investigators still faced enormous challenges explaining how she could have accomplished it. Joan left behind her children. She left behind financial stability. She left behind nearly every aspect of her established life. There was also no evidence that she had withdrawn money, arranged transportation, or prepared for a new identity. Voluntary disappearances are difficult enough. Executing one successfully in 1961 would have been extraordinarily challenging. As months passed, the investigation expanded. Search teams combed nearby woods, ponds, and fields. Authorities followed hundreds of leads. Potential sightings were investigated across multiple states. Each lead eventually collapsed. The mystery only grew. Then came another intriguing development. Investigators learned that Joan had visited the library frequently and possessed a strong interest in crime literature. Some theorized that she might have been inspired by real cases she had read about. Others dismissed the idea entirely, arguing that reading mystery books hardly constituted evidence of a planned disappearance. The public became fascinated. Newspapers covered the story extensively. Readers debated theories. Was Joan a victim? A runaway? The target of a killer who somehow left almost no evidence? Or was something else entirely responsible? As the years passed, no definitive answer emerged. The case entered the realm of true crime legend. Each new generation of investigators brought fresh interpretations. Some believed the blood evidence pointed strongly toward a violent crime. Others felt the absence of a body suggested a carefully planned disappearance. The witness reports of a possibly injured woman walking away from the house remained tantalizing but inconclusive. Had witnesses truly seen Joan, or had they unknowingly observed someone else? Even modern investigators remain divided. One of the most challenging aspects of the case is that nearly every major theory contains significant weaknesses. If Joan was murdered, where is the body? Who committed the crime? Why was so little evidence left behind? If she disappeared voluntarily, how did she avoid detection for decades? How did she establish a new life without leaving any trace? And if she suffered an accident and wandered away injured, why was she never found despite extensive searches? The passage of time has only deepened the mystery. Many individuals connected to the original investigation are now gone. Memories have faded. Evidence has deteriorated. Yet the central questions remain exactly as they were in 1961. What happened inside the Risch home that afternoon? What caused the bloodstains investigators found scattered throughout the kitchen? And what became of Joan Risch? Today, more than 60 years later, the case remains officially unsolved. No one has been charged. No body has ever been recovered. No explanation has gained universal acceptance. The quiet suburban house in Lincoln became the setting for a mystery that continues to perplex investigators, historians, and true crime researchers alike. In a world where modern technology has solved countless cold cases, Joan Risch's disappearance remains stubbornly resistant to answers. Perhaps somewhere, hidden among forgotten records, overlooked evidence, or memories never shared, the truth still exists. Until that truth emerges, Joan Risch remains one of America's most haunting missing persons cases. a woman who appeared to vanish in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, leaving behind only questions, bloodstains, and a mystery that refuses to fade.